Let's go, baby! Playoffs! I got 2 bottles of champagne. One's actual champagne and one's M&M's for when after I'm drunk to eat later. But welcome in to a playoff edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast. Yes, I said it. I am Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. But for tonight, I am not your fucking manager, as Torey Labolo just told his crew. I am not your fucking manager tonight. But I am joined by the one and only Mr. Electric himself, Shawn DePaz. Sir, thank you for providing the fucking electricity tonight. Let's go.
Turn me the fuck up, Derek.
Is this the most exciting loss you've ever experienced? Because, my God.
By far, we're going to the fucking offs. We're going to the playoffs, baby. Turn me up. Nothing matters.
What a crazy thing. Your Arizona Diamondbacks have clinched a postseason berth for the first time since 2017. And oddly enough, big thanks to Paul Goldschmidt for helping us get there once again.
Yeah, right.
Thanks to Paul Goldschmidt and the St. Louis Cardinals for absolutely whooping the Cincinnati Reds' asses tonight by a score of 15-6. Can we take a look at that out-of-town scoreboard? Because the Arizona Diamondbacks are in the playoffs, not because of their own their own winning or their own losing. They are in because of this right here. The Reds are officially out, and we have ourselves the Diamondbacks clinching. The Reds, again, lose 15-6. Miami does pick up a very interesting win that is going to impact the Diamondbacks potentially by beating the Pittsburgh Pirates 7-3. So we have a lot of things to talk about, But, of course, the biggest thing that I want to talk about is I just want to get a little nostalgic here. Obviously, we're going to have Jesse Friedman join us from a very chaotic Diamondbacks clubhouse here. They ran out on field. It was just an absolute beautiful thing to see that herd of Diamondbacks players charging out onto the field, being led by Corbin Carroll out in the front, just going out there to swim in the pool. What a beautiful sight, man. Yeah, exactly. Definitely better. And kudos to the Houston Astros, because I have no idea what they're doing to celebrate, but they are low key. Maybe they'll do what apparently the Rays and the Orioles did, where they waited a few days to celebrate because they both clinched on the same night. But
they said they mentioned on the broadcast it might be a little more subdued celebration because they do have a chance to win the division tomorrow.
Sure,
so
that makes a lot of sense.
They can't get too messed up tonight.
That's very true. The Diamondbacks really don't have anything more to play for this season. They can't catch anybody, but they do have something to play for in the playoff, the wild card round positioning. And I don't even know how important that really is, right? They talked to some of the guys tonight. Jake McCarthy said that it wasn't an important thing for who they play in the playoffs. It wasn't, it doesn't matter to them. But it is kind of a pick your poison situation, whether you're going with the Philadelphia Phillies or the Milwaukee Brewers, something we've discussed a few times on this show. And I mean, obviously, what the Phillies can do in the playoffs. Yeah. We don't really know what the Brewers can do. We just know that their pitching staff is excellent. And I don't know if you want to catch that pitching staff that's well rested in a 3-game series. Meanwhile, you're going to be sending in your 2 best starters on short rest. So I don't know, how great either scenario is. I can understand the Diamondbacks not really caring either. At this point, they're either going to be in the second wild card position or they're going to be in the third. It doesn't really matter. They're going to have a chance to play in the playoffs and stick around and have a run at the World Series. That is so goddamn exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I have a hard time believing they really care who they play. I think they'd much rather be playing good baseball going into the playoffs, even if that does mean them playing the Phillies. Point. I will say Hazen said in his post-game interview that it looks like Pfaadt will probably pitch game 1. And I have to say that the idea of Pfaadt pitching in Milwaukee is a lot more encouraging than Pfaadt pitching in Philadelphia in game 1 of the wild card. So, I mean, there's a lot of obviously factors when it comes to who you would rather play. But I think when you can all this considered, like, again, you'd rather be playing good baseball going into the postseason. But right now, I think I'd rather play the Brewers. So I'm not going to complain too much. If they can get a win tomorrow, do a little damage to the Astros and go into the postseason with, like, on a high note, then that's all I really care about.
I mean, it's well valid. The concerns are there because the Diamondbacks come into this, postseason kind of limping in as far as their offense is concerned. Brazilian Fury, thank you for the super chat. He says, I'm happy for Derek and Derek. God bless you, sir. Let's go, Chris. He says, house money, baby. Appreciate all the super chats. You guys are wonderful. The Diamondbacks were able to generate 2 runs in the last 3 losses. That's the reality of the matter. They were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position tonight. They were 0 for 8 last night. They were 0 for 5 in the final against the White Sox. So yeah, there's not a lot to be encouraged about right now. Altec ZZ says, I'll celebrate with 4 Peaks if they sold out in St. Louis. Let's go, baby. I got a 4 Peaks right here. I got 2 4 Peaks for you right here. I got that bottle of champagne too. I got plenty of alcohol to share with everybody, so I'm well stocked up here. But I don't know. I mean, I don't really care. I think if I'm being 100% honest, I just want the Diamondbacks to keep making those steps in the right direction. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of very negative fans, replying to our tweets and out there on Diamondbacks Twitter who, are like, you backed your way in. You did this. You limped your way in. That's fair. It's fair to say, but does it matter? Like, the Diamondbacks still played well enough at times to get enough wins for them to secure their position here. They've had some really bad stretches that they were able to overcome, and they were able to get things back on track. But man, I just got to be honest. I don't really give a damn how they got in. I don't care that they lost tonight. This is an achievement to celebrate. When Jesse and I started doing this show, this godforsaken team was at the tail end of one of their worst seasons in franchise history. And that was just 2 short years ago. And here we are with a playoff berth. First time since 2017. This team has come a long way. They've done it without the help of major free agents. In fact, major free agents, you could say, got in their way and impeded their success. They had to make difficult decisions to cut some of the major free agents that they signed and added to this roster in 100%. Order for them to find success. I think that's the most impressive thing about this team is how they were able to adapt and continue to find success and make those tough decisions that not a lot of sports organizations are willing to make, considering how much money they still owed to, like, Madison Bumgarner when they decided to DFA him early in the season, and some of these other guys that they decided to part ways with later on. It's been an incredible feat that they were able to do this with the limited pitching staff they had and with essentially such a young core group of guys that were responsible for this. And Charles Woodall Pike says, party like it's 2017. I got the baseball bat, baby. Let's go. Go ahead.
Let's go. Oh boy. Derek's getting up, doing damage.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll settle down for now.
Another super chat, $10.
Let's go, Tony. He said it's a time to be grateful, but my hope, if it isn't asking too much, is at the start of multiple postseason appearances, just like the Astros. And I think that's what we're all looking for, right? I don't think that a lot of people are saying this team is a World Series contender, but now that it's whittled down to just the playoff teams, any team really is a playoff contender 100%. Because they all have a shot at it at this point.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's 100% a reason to celebrate, regardless of whether or not you want to say they backed in, whatever. Because it's a 162 game season, and every game matters just as much as the other. And honestly, if you're really looking at this season in totality, the fact that they've managed to make the playoffs, considering what they went through after the All-Star break, is impressive in its own right. I don't care what's happened over these last 5 or so games. So I mean, they are ahead of schedule. And as far as Tony's super chat, I don't think it's asking too much for this to be the start of a handful of playoff appearances. Not at all. The thing that makes this playoff appearance so special is the fact that they're ahead of schedule. The fact that this was never expected.
Yes.
And so, next year was supposed to be the start. So at the very least, you can look at this and say, this is the first of consecutive playoff appearances, hopefully. And then you can keep building off of that. I think this is absolutely, I'm not going to say the start of a dynasty like that. That's getting ahead of it. But the start of a perennial playoff team. I think that's certainly fair. In the picture.
Well, and here's the thing is like, it's kind of like Corbin Carroll coming up at the end of the last season, right? It just was enough to get him a little experience. And that experience could be the reason why he outperformed even most people's I guess expectations this season, right? He was by far the leader on this team. I think tonight Mike Hazen said it during the post-game interview, but he's said that he's really glad that 14 other teams passed up on Corbin Carroll, because he is by far, the one of the best players in that clubhouse, if not the best player. And this team per Fangraphs had a 15.3% chance at making the playoffs at the beginning of the year. And here they are, right? I mean, it very much could be exactly like what Tony described when you say the Astros. And the Astros are such a good comparison. Not necessarily because of the banging the trash cans thing, but because they locked up their core, right? And like, I guess you could say the Astros, you could say the Braves, like they were able to keep their guys in, their team colors and build a team that stuck together. They're not these teams that are kind of putting things together by kind of going out there and throwing money around. And as we've seen with teams like the Mets and the three highest spending teams this season did not make the playoffs, right? The Yankees, the Padres, and the Mets. So like this is all incredible to me. And also what's incredible to me is seeing all of these videos of pictures of Jesse sending me right now of the players in the pool. It's very distracting because I'm trying to host a podcast here. And I also want to scream with excitement about seeing these guys all having a great time in the pool. But man, this is just a wonderful, wonderful thing. Okay. So yes. And like I said, I still can't believe how far they've come in a short period of time. And I can't, I mean, this was a team that when Mike Hazen took over this, as GM of this franchise, their farm system was one of the worst in baseball. And this team had very little on the horizon as far as what was going to happen with their future. The way that they turned things around here and the way that they made their farm system so valuable at one point, the way that they built this organization from the farm system, and now to be here at this point, this moment of success, even if it's fleeting, even if they just make it in the wild card round, I think it's something that for a moment, even the most negative Diamondbacks fan needs to take a step back from all of this negativity, all of this vitriol, and just smile and just be happy that this team is at the beginning of something that could be very fun to watch for a number of years. And honestly, with the way it's built, looks like it's sustainable to be something fun to watch for a number of years. Right. But I will say this. I don't know how the playoffs are going to go because like I said, this team comes in here kind of limping in with their offense really not being able to generate any runs. They had two stellar outings in this series already from Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen. Merrill Kelly pitched a hell of a game today. He absolutely deserved some run support, and instead he got zero. The Diamondbacks weren't able to score a run in tonight's loss, and they lose tonight's game by a score of 1-0. Again, another game that very much felt like at any point things could have turned around for them. I mean, even there in the ninth when Jake McCarthy got on and Gabby was up at the plate, it felt like something special was going to happen after we missed something special happening just last night with the same kind of similar situation. And instead, Jake gets caught stealing, and it felt like at that moment, without the game even being over, it felt like the game was over. But man, what are your thoughts on the lack of offense and the lack of this team being able to back up some of these? I mean, honestly, outstanding pitching performances their starters are giving them.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly concerning. Like if you're looking at their chances going into the playoffs, like that's not great. But I mean, on the other hand, like part of what we were concerned about recently with this team was not getting good performances from Merrill and Zach, and we got those in back-to-back starts. So like you just got to hope that they put everything together when they get to the postseason. I think the great thing about the postseason is that no one knows how it's going to go. No one expected the Phillies to appear on in the World Series last year, and now the Diamondbacks are obviously with a much different team, but in a very similar situation. No one expects them to do anything in this postseason. They got in after being a point in the season where it looked very bleak, right? And now who knows, right? Like I don't think necessarily like they're not going to be favorited to win with a series against whoever they play, right? Like I don't think I'm not predicting the Arizona Diamondbacks to win the World Series, but it's one series at a time, and in a 3-game series, who knows what happens? And if everyone gets hot at the right time, like anything is possible. And so I think that is like what's most exciting about this is like, that's it's like sports are fucking awesome. Crazy shit happens, miracles happen.
They're incredible.
And maybe that could be the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Man, I love baseball. I love baseball.
So do I.
And
it's fucking awesome.
Like there's a lot of talk about I have never seen anything that was more confusing than how all of this was going to play out. And it was not aided by the people that we seek out as professionals to tell us what's supposed to happen here, right? Like I read an MLB.com article this morning that said the Cubs still needed to lose today in order for the Diamondbacks to clinch, which wasn't correct. I saw another thing. I think, the Diamondbacks themselves tweeted out that it was like a 1 game until they clinch, when it wasn't still like, yeah, it was, but only for the Cubs and not for the Reds. And I guess it was, but it's like, there was just too many variables. Jesse brought that up, and it was just too hard with this many, teams still in the hunt to really say that they have a magic number. Right. But I mean, I feel like that's what makes this so fun. What makes this so fun is that the Astros and the Diamondbacks are still both playing for playoff spots against each other here at game 161. And they both somehow clinched their wild card berths in this game. Right. And I mean, man, that's something else.
It was, I mean, like, just as a baseball fan, like a terrific year of baseball. And I mean, obviously just the regular season, but like, the fact that we were at game 161 and now we're going into 162 with there still being playoff implications on the line, like that is awesome. Like it is not something that I think, again, anyone expected coming into the season. And sure, it was a little annoying not knowing what was going on. Really day to day, not knowing who to trust. But ultimately, you win games. It doesn't matter. And obviously, the Diamondbacks haven't really won games. But at this point, we know they're in, and that's all that really matters. Like they're going to make the playoffs. They are going to have a chance to be one of those. How many?
12 teams.
12 teams in the playoffs,
12
right?
Teams? Yeah,
12 teams. Mm-hmm. I never know how many teams are in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's why we have Jesse here. He's good with math. But
but they have in theory, depending on how you look at it, just as good of a chance as any of those other 11 teams to win a World Series.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I'm sure experts and all sorts of people would disagree with us, but I don't. I mean, they're in, and those damn Phillies last year gave us this feeling that anybody that gets in can do it, and anybody can get far in the playoffs. So why not us? And even if it's not us,
why not us?
Just what an achievement, right? Sometimes it's just about making those advancements, leveling up, and now that maybe the organization and the front office believes in this team and can see what this team can do, maybe they do spend that extra little bit of money it takes to maybe get a big name free agent that's going to change things. Maybe that's not needed. I don't really know. I'm still shocked that the Diamondbacks, essentially with 2 solid starting pitchers and a good up and comer, were able to make the playoffs when at times they didn't even have a full starting rotation. And that even,
I mean, they still don't.
That's even tomorrow, right? Like what are they doing tomorrow? Bullpen start, Ryan Nelson. I mean, it does look like at this point, it would appear Brandon Pfaadt is going to be the person that starts game 1 in this series against whoever they play. And then it would most likely be followed up by Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly on short rest. But I mean, again, concerns about the offense. Yeah, a little bit. I can't lie. Concerns about the starting rotation on short rest, especially against a solid staff like the Brewers. Yeah, that's not great either. But they're here. It doesn't matter. None of that 100%. Matters.
And again, like we don't know. Like the thing that's great about the playoffs is like the guys who make the biggest impacts are like never the people you expect, and so you really have no idea like how guys are going to respond to this environment. And
it's going to be Jace Peterson as the MVP of the World Series.
Right? Like
exactly how this is going to play out.
And a lot of these guys don't have any playoff experience, so you don't know how they're going to react to this moment. And maybe they react in a good way, and you get just like a crazy energized team going into these postseason. Like that's, again, what is so exciting is anything is possible. Like you don't know what this environment is going to do. You don't know how these guys are going to react, and that's super exciting. And like to know that if they can win 2 games, like there's going to be playoff baseball at Chase Field, like that's what gets me juiced.
Yeah. And I mean, experience, you can say all you want for experience, but damn it.
Yeah.
Sometimes being ignorant and never being there before might be the exact kind of thing you need to do some things. You know, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but it would be hard. I think we would be hypocrites to give tonight's King Snake to anybody but this individual or individuals. Yeah, that's right. We're giving the King Snake to the St. Louis Cardinals. Sorry, Diamondbacks. You get the King Snake tomorrow night. But tonight, we're giving it to the team that did the work, and that's the St. Louis Cardinals that sent the freaking Reds packing. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, first off, you got to like score a little bit, do literally anything to deserve King Snake. But
Merrill
I mean,
Kelly probably earned it. I won't lie. Merrill Kelly probably earned it.
Yeah, but, I mean, if we're doing a real King Snake for a Diamondback, it's definitely Mert. But like, really though, you mentioned it earlier, like Paul Goldschmidt helping the family out. Like, it's a terrible Cardinals team all year, and in the moment we need them most, they dropped 16 or whatever it was on the Reds.
Yeah, they really came through. They came through like you would have liked to see the Diamondbacks come through tonight for themselves.
Yeah, you would have. But and there's definitely a moment like, and kind of what you were talking about earlier with even like the negative fans taking a moment to appreciate this. Like I was just sitting there and I was just like, imagine what it's like to be a Reds fan right now. Like your season is on the line. On the line. Well, yeah, that too. But like today, specifically the Reds, your season is on the line. And what do? You give up double-digit runs, almost 20 runs to the St. Louis Cardinals, the worst team in your division. Like that has to hurt.
After you put up nearly 20 on them yesterday.
Yeah, that has to hurt so deep in your soul. And so it's so good to be on the good side of this. So shout out to St. Louis Cardinals for sending the Reds back.
For real. Speaking of which, in our chat, we had some great chat things. By the way, our chat was totally all over yesterday saying that like after yesterday's performance, now they were going to see Justin Verlander and we were going to get no hit. Well, you were close. We almost got no hit, but we definitely got shut out by a very good pitcher in Justin Verlander. Maria G says the Cubs completely falling apart and imploding was not my bingo card. That hurts. Our condolences to our friends over at CHGO. Our boy Damon is here in the chat. He's under the PHNX Sports. He says we did it from Damon. And now a lot of people are talking to Damon. There's that. He is the people's producer. Someone asked if they can be Damon's dogs. It's Zypher. Zypher down here said, can I be one of Damon's dogs or do I have to be employed by PHNX? No, you do not have to be employed by PHNX to be everybody. You just have to be a Damon dog in your heart. You just got to be a Damon dog in your heart. And also before you go to bed, you just do a little woo-woo. That's all. You just do a little woof before you go to bed, just to let Damon know that you love him. That's all. But anyway, thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel right now. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and do that now. That's very bright when I turn that on. Of course, make sure to sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Also, leave us a little thumbs up in the chat just so we know you're here and that you love us. We appreciate that. If you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure to do the same thing there as well. Sign up, subscribe, leave us a review. We always appreciate that feedback. And of course, we love you no matter where you're listening or how you're listening, whether you're a viewer or a listener. We appreciate you. Also, make sure to check out BetMGM. I know BetMGM makes baseball better. Of course, you know, the whole thing. Well, and of course, kids, baseball's fun, but it's more fun when you bet on it. Forget all that. Football is way more fun when you bet on it. So make sure now during football season, both college football season and NFL season, you get down the BetMGM app. If you place your first BetMGM sportsbook through the sportsbook mobile application, you will get $200 in free bets instantly as long as you do a bet of at least $10. All you have to do is download the app, sign up with our code of PHNX, Deposit at least $10 and wager that amount of at least $10 at a standard odds price on a qualifying bet. Once you have placed a bet, you'll receive $200 in bonus bets regardless of your wager's outcome. Of course, you can sign up now. Use that bonus code of PHNX. Again, place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10. You will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details, and now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Tonight's a perfect example, by the way, Shawn, of me not taking care of myself once again. This has been a constant problem that as we go into the playoffs and when we get into playoff, because next week we're not doing just post-game shows. We're going to be doing some pre-game shows for the playoffs, post-game shows. We're bringing you extended PHNX Diamondbacks coverage throughout the playoffs because we're just so excited to be here and be doing this. But I will say this. I need to take better care of myself. Shawn absolutely needs to take better care of himself. I know Jesse didn't take goggles into the clubhouse tonight. Sure. I know he's not taking good care of himself. So we could all take better care of ourselves. And we can do that with Factor, by the way. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. And they are extraordinary. Yes, they are microwavable meals, but they are never frozen, and they come with an absolute stellar combination of flavors and sides and main dishes. If you're too busy to cook this fall, make sure to let Factor do the cooking for you. Skip the extra trip to the grocery store and all of that prepping, all the meal prep all week. Let Factor do the meal prep for you. All you have to do is choose from 34 plus weekly flavor-packed, never frozen meals that are ready to eat in 2 minutes. And let me tell you, I have no idea what kind of magic they pack into these things, but it's mostly the sauce. They always come with an incredible sauce or something.
The secret's always the sauce.
The secrets are always the sauce, right? Chicken breast is just a chicken breast. You can cook me a chicken breast. It can be the most well-cooked chicken breast on the planet. If you didn't season it, I'm throwing it in the trash. I don't want your disgusting flavorless chicken breast.
Exactly.
That is not what Factor is sending you. Everything they send to you is not only delicious with gourmet plus options that are prepared to perfection by chefs, but they also have a wide variety of different lines that you can choose. Delicious dietitian approved calorie smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving, and so much more. They have breakfast, they have protein shakes, they have everything that you need. So head to factormeals.com/PHNX D-backs 50 and use our code of PHNX D-backs 50 to get 50% off your order. That's code PHNX D-backs 50 at factormeals.com/PHNX D-backs 50 to get that 50% off. We talked about how tomorrow's game still has playoff implications, like Shawn said, and it absolutely does, because the Arizona Diamondbacks could lose tomorrow's game, Marlins could win, and they would end up in a tie with the Marlins, which would give the Marlins, in fact, the second wild card spot. And here we are. Those other teams fucking gone. We don't need any more teams. Gone. You're out. See ya. Here we are. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts here? I know you and I have had kind of a difference in opinions when it comes to this. So are you sitting here as a fan of this team, not caring if they lose tomorrow and maybe even hoping that they do?
I am not necessarily hoping that they do, but I am definitely I don't really care if they do, especially if it's a loss where the offense comes alive a little bit. Like if then I'll be good. And also like anything to make the other teams kind of suck. And if the D-backs can win and the Marlins lose, the Marlins will, depending if they want to, I guess, would have to potentially go back to New York and play that last game that got rained out against the Mets, I believe, right? So that would be a whole weird situation for them to have to go through. So I mean, I guess there's a part of you that kind of want to puts them into that situation, right? But outside of that, like it's go out and play your hardest, obviously, but don't do anything that's going to jeopardize your chances in the postseason. So ultimately they're gonna be shooting themselves in the foot by not pitching or by pitching a bullpen game, whatever they do to preserve their pitch, however they decide to manage this game. Like, it's probably not going to be like all out trying to win this game, right? Like, there's obviously something bigger on the horizon, and I'm fine with that. But obviously, at the end, again, like I said, you would like them to win. You would like them to show a little bit of life, like kind of getting back to the backing into the playoffs conversation that we said earlier. I don't care too much that they back into the playoffs, but again, you would like them to show a little bit of life before they actually have to do it on the big stage.
When it comes to the postseason picture, I think that it's not just this first series that they would play in the wild card round, but how things would line up beyond that, right?
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks, I feel like, would rather catch the Dodgers in the next round should they be able to advance past the wild card round. I know I'm putting that a little too ahead. I know I'm a little ahead of myself when it comes to that, but it is something that factors in here. I think the Dodgers haven't been playing the best baseball, and I think the Dodgers have kind of a depleted starting rotation. They also have a tendency to kind of shit the bed in the playoffs a little bit. So just as far as how things line up, if they do end up in that final wild card spot, that would send them to Milwaukee to play the Brewers. And then should they advance, they would find the Dodgers in the next round. I personally, I mean, I know I've been advocating quite a bit for them to face the Phillies, but at this point, with their lack of offense, I feel like that might be the easier route to go as far as if they were to have a route to the World Series or to success in the playoffs. I mean, again, that's putting myself way ahead, but again, I guess the idea here is that it really doesn't matter. Like, if they do fall into the final wild card spot, I feel like it might end up working out for them potentially. I don't know. I still don't like that trio of starting pitchers that the Brewers have. I still feel like that's going to be quite formidable for
a little concerning.
I
mean, I think ultimately, like, if you're going to win a World Series, it's not going to matter too much who you end up having to play. Like, you're going to have to be playing some of your best baseball for a month straight. And so, like, part of me doesn't care all that much, but as far as who you would rather play, Dodgers versus Braves, like, if it was anybody other than, like, if it was the Los Angeles Dodgers wearing different uniforms or in a different city, like, it wouldn't be a question that you would rather play the Los Angeles Dodgers. The only reason it is any kind of question is because of the history this team has, the history this team has at Dodger Stadium, how they performed there this year. It hasn't, like, how they performed against this team this year. Not all great, right? And so you weigh all those things. Like, there is a strong part of me that would rather play the Braves. I mean, they've looked better against the Braves. There's obviously
they split the season with them.
Yeah, there's not that mental roadblock of your problems that you've had with the Braves like there is with the Dodgers. But at the end of the day, like, I think you get to the postseason, the Braves lineup is not a lineup I want to see. And also, like, I know Dodgers fans are no joke, but you could say what you want about it as a tradition, but you go down to Atlanta and try and perform with the tomahawk chop. Like, that's not. It's an environment. That's a crazy environment when it comes to sports, and that's not something that I would necessarily be too excited about the Diamondbacks prospects performing well in. So I think I probably agree with you that I would rather play the Dodgers, but that's not necessarily all that exciting either.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And I like how we both kind of flip-flopped on our earlier thing and whatever, but like, it really, I don't know. Like, I don't know. The Diamondbacks aren't playing great baseball right now, so that part's not encouraging, but that's not what we're doing tonight. We're not hanging up on that, because tonight is a night to celebrate. Tonight is a night to be excited. Tonight is a night for us to throw up the All-City update and just revel a bit in securing that second position. Let's go, baby! Let's go! Even if you tie us, we're still better than you.
Yeah. I mean, you eat your ECHGO, and then the Phillies championship here is going to have a little bit of an asterisk on it, considering when they joined. So some people would say that we are the people's champion. We are the real champion, that this is a Mickey Mouse ring for the PHLY Phillies. But I'm not saying that. Congrats to PHLY Phillies.
We would never say that.
Second place.
We would never say that in a million years. But
ever.
I don't know. Maybe the title's still up for grabs if we end up playing each other. Who knows? That could ultimately decide who wins this division.
Like we discussed, it's kind of like a rivalry trophy. Every time you play, or every time you play in the postseason, like, it's up for grabs. So Yeah, if they want, they can have this. They can have the regular season, right? The
Have it all
Suns
you
have
want.
seen that firsthand.
Yeah.
Regular
Yeah.
season means nothing if you don't do it in the
Meaningless.
postseason.
Meaningless.
So
As long as we're
yeah,
here in the
maybe
postseason.
for that reason, I do want to play the Phillies. Like I kind of want,
Yeah.
I want the smoke with PHLY.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Damon's here with us right now, even though he's not, like egging us on, just instigating the situation a little bit here. I don't know, but this is fun. And what's fun is that this team has no business being here right now. I mean, they still end up as being the only team. Oh, I think no longer. They're no longer the only team in the playoffs with a negative run differential, because the Miami Marlins also have a negative run differential. But yeah, just a fun, hell of a season, and now we get to extend it and see how far this team can really go. So I don't know, but I mean, I know that there was a lot of our diehards were out at Chase Field tonight. I hope you guys had a great time. I know that Jesse is still coming to us at some point. I don't know how Jesse intends to get home. Also, he looked very dry on the broadcast, and that's upsetting.
Yeah, I hope that's
very
changed.
much so. Yeah, I definitely hope that's changed. But the Diamondbacks players did go out. They jumped in the pool. Torey did a cannonball. There's video and pictures of that exist apparently that I need to see, that I can't see because we're doing the show right now, but I can't wait to look at all of that. So I guess, if I were to ask you, looking back now that the season is kind of wrapped up, what was your biggest surprise for this season? What honestly from this team surprised you the most?
Oh man.
I mean, I'll start off to give you a moment to think about it, because I know I kind of sprung that on you out of nowhere.
If you have something, go off, because there is a lot.
I mean, I think my personal thing is going back to what we were saying a little while ago. This team did not hold back when it came to making tough decisions that a lot of organizations might not make, right? In some cases, you just kind of have to deal with that and go about it and hope for the best. There's a clip of Jesse and I talking about this team making the playoffs at the beginning of the season. And one of the questions we asked at the time was, what would they do with Madison Bumgarner in a playoff series if they made it there? And I think Jesse at one point jokingly said, maybe have them pitch in the 5th inning of a game where they're losing by 7 runs. And we honestly, I mean, not only did we not expect them to make it this far, on April 2nd or whatever, but we also really didn't expect them to do some of the things they did to continue to make this team better, and also to rely on their young players from their, from their farm system so heavily when they came up. Like, a lot of these guys were kind of immediately thrown into high pressure situations where they weren't kind of being eased into their role as much as they were just immediately being asked of a lot. And especially some of the bullpen relievers, performed very well for this team at times, considering, just the gravity of the situation that they were put into.
Yeah, I think for me, it kind of similar. I mean, the commitment to winning that kind of showed up partway through this season, I think was super encouraging, right? Like you mentioned, them cutting Mad Bum, even recently them cutting Davies and Ahmed. Like their commitment to winning, I think is really encouraging. I mean, if I'm being honest, the biggest surprise for me was just the first half. Like the fact that we ended up with 4 All-Stars. The fact that I think it's a lot of young individuals that were surprised. Like the fact that Geraldo Perdomo became an everyday shortstop, never saw that coming. So I mean, I think him specifically is probably the single biggest surprise. Like I was not encouraged that he was going to be a very good baseball player at all. Right. And then he ended up being not just a very good baseball player, but an all-star. And obviously, that kind of teetered off a little bit near the end. But by and large, he was a surprise.
He was one of the worst statistical hitters last season, was he not? Like, he had a terrible offensive season last year of qualified batters. And I don't know. I mean, like you said, his turnaround was really impressive. And honestly, Corbin Carroll's ability in one season to become a team leader and to become the best player on the team, like a lot of these guys, a lot of the young guys just came, I guess matured so quickly, right? Like they kind of lived up to the potential so quickly, it felt like, or I don't know. It's just wild to me because, one thing that we commended this team on is the coaching staff. And I think the coaching staff deserves all of the credit for that, or I guess not all the credit. The guys do some stuff themselves, right? But I mean, the coaching staff deserves credit for what they were able to do with these young guys and how quickly they were able to get them to adapt to playing at a major league level. And that's what happens when you bring in guys with the experience of a Jeff Bannister or Brent Strom. They impacted this young team in the exact way you can imagine by sharing that wisdom with young guys that don't have the experience.
Yeah, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for what they accomplished during, or the management deserves a lot of accomplishment, the coaching staff for managing to guide this team through the dark times. Like the fact that they were able to recover from that and like still maintain some belief in themselves and know that they're still a good baseball team. Like that is something that I think management definitely deserves a lot of credit for. And so, I mean, but yeah, obviously, like by and large this season, they deserve a lot of credit just for the way a lot of these guys performed well above expectations and how this team by and large performed well above expectations. But I believe like that specific, not moment, but obviously stretch, them being able to guide the ship through those troubled waters is, I mean, why they're in the postseason.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not easy, right? I mean, we as fans watch this team and lose, I guess, you lose faith. They lost faith just as much, if not more. Like they're the ones going through it. They lose faith in themselves. That's worse than us being able to watch from the sidelines or from our living rooms and be like, man, this team doesn't got it. Or like, what the hell are they? All this kind of stuff. Like they start believing they're never going to get a hit again. Yeah, I mean, help. When Paul Sewald joined the team at one point, he joked with Torey, told you we were going to win again, like as if they you could tell it was a joke within the clubhouse that they weren't, winning and that they weren't going to ever win another game again.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think even with as hyperbolic as we are on this show, they might be even more so at times, but it does feel like that. And I'm sure it feels like that tenfold when you're a member of the team. Torey Lovullo, though, deserves a lot of credit, man. This guy, I think he has done some amazing things for this team. And even with how much, people question his managing, and in some cases rightfully so, right? Like none of our decisions are ever the perfect ones. And sometimes it felt like for Torey, it didn't matter what decision he made because it was going to result in whoever he went with, like out of the bullpen at one period of time, or whoever he went with in certain situations wasn't going to work out for him no matter who he chose.
Yeah. It was definitely not good. Like it was just simply not good. And like you said, I think it's one of those things where they could very easily start believing what what a lot of fans were saying, if we're being honest. Like you mentioned, negative fans, like a lot of fans did not think that this team was going to be were really that good, right? The first season was a mirage, all that. And I think they showed with the way they bounced back from it that was not the case. And again, Torey and the rest of his coaching staff deserves loads of credit for that.
Yeah. Let's give Torey his due because Jesse sent us a little video of Torey in the locker room giving his post game speech, and I'm ready to fucking run through a brick wall. Let's go, Shawn.
Thank you for the effort, the commitment, the love, the effort every single fucking day. We're on a journey. It doesn't stop here. Don't fucking judge me tonight. I'm not your manager tonight. I'm fucking party.
Let's fucking party.
Let's go, baby. Oh my God.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Inject it directly into my goddamn veins. Let's go. Oh man, that was electric. That was electric. I'm not your manager tonight, by the way, Shawn. So I'm going to use that a lot this postseason. But I know Jesse is here. I think he's here. I think he's dry. I think he's safe. We'll get him in here in a second. Jesse!
Hey!
Hey, buddy! You are so dry. You didn't bring goggles like I told you to. It looks like you didn't need them. I'm just glad your eyes are okay. I was worried sick about you. You know that.
Yeah, I very well could have needed the goggles, but it was sort of the lack of the goggles that caused me to stay out of the fray a little bit. As you all can see, there was quite a bit of alcohol involved in the post-game celebration, as one would expect. There were other members of the media who were wearing full on like they were
ponchos.
They were
I saw
ponchos.
Well, I saw our very own Danielle Cortez there without a poncho or goggles, and she was right in the middle of it.
So but she had her camera all wrapped up, and it still didn't look like it was wrapped tightly enough.
All I'm saying is it doesn't sound like that great of an excuse, but that's just me.
All right, Jesse. Well, before we get you an update from the clubhouse, I wanted to thank everybody again for being here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't signed up for a diehard membership yet, don't miss out on all this wonderful content. Not only do you get all of the exclusive content from Jesse and all of our writers around here, but you get access to a free piece of merchandise from the PHNXlocker.com. And of course, you get that brand new wagon shirt. It's beautiful. It's Serpientes colors and Serpientes font. And you can get it right for postseason. Perfect time for postseason. Sign up for a diehard membership. Get your free piece of merchandise. Get 20% off all future purchases. Get access to our members-only Discord lounge. You get discounts from our partners and so much more. So sign up today to become a diehard member. Of course, big thanks to our friends at Pins and Aces for keeping us looking sharp in all of our official golf apparel. It is the official golf apparel partner of PHNX and ALLCITY. And of course, you can check them out. We love our Pins and Aces gear. We love our official Phoenix shirt that they made for us. They make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, and of course, that beer sleeve I can't stop talking about. I need a beer sleeve right now. I got a bunch of beers in here, Jesse. We've been celebrating. This is real champagne. This isn't. This is just filled with M&Ms, but we're having a party and we're having a good time. And of course, you can too with all of the official stuff that you can get at pinsandaces.com. Use that code of PHNX and you'll receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. And of course, I've also told you guys I lost my sunglasses. Don't fret. I know you guys were all worried as I was about Jesse not taking proper eyewear into the clubhouse, but my proper eyewear is on its way to me. It'll be here on Monday. And of course, that's because Shady Rays backs their sunglasses with the most insane lost and broken replacement plan in all of eyewear. They told us that if you lose or break your pair of Shady Rays, even on day one, they will send you out a brand new pair. No questions asked, no judgment heaped upon you. It is gear built to last. They are premium polarized sunglasses. Mine did not break because they seem to be solid sunglasses. They merely got lost because I am a dummy. So, of course, you can shop their entire location at their entire collection, at their new location here in town at Kierland Commons. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, you can return them for your money back or exchange them for a new pair within 30 days. No questions asked. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. And of course, why get 2 pairs? Because you might lose one like I did, or just get them for somebody else as a gift. It's a great gift. Makes a great gift. Jesse, how's the clubhouse? How's the mood? The mood seemed pretty good.
Yeah, people are really angry at me for being dry. I feel like I let everyone down. And the fact that I'm not drenched, and the fact that I can still see things, because we all know that as Derek has described to me from past experiences, awful. If you get champagne in your eyes, it's really a brutal experience. But I will have you know that there were 0 writers in that room who actually came away wet, with the exception of MLB.com Steve Gilbert, who I believe was doused much to his chagrin. Yeah. But
he deserves that. He deserves that, to be honest. Steve deserves to be dosed by the team, but
that's fair.
Honestly, champagne, it's sticky and also burns. I don't get it. I don't like it, but I'm glad you're dry. And I very much am kind of, I guess, fascinated by the way tonight played out. Obviously, not the way the Diamondbacks hoped it would. Not want to clinch with a loss, but this has to. I'm sure it's happened before because it's baseball, but this feels like it might be the first time we've ever had an American League and National League team clinch their playoff spots in the same game together like this. This is weird. I know they just did the AL East a few weeks ago with 2 teams clinching at the same time. Did the Astros take the respectful route of not really celebrating? Do you know anything about the Astros celebration?
Yeah, there were no Astros pool parties from what we're aware of.
Just wanted to see a joint barbecue or something. Just guys hanging out, just guys being dudes.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you figure like the Astros celebration isn't really at the Diamondbacks' expense in this situation.
Right.
The Diamondbacks are able to celebrate too. So yeah, I mean, a perfect situation for just one big happy. Yeah, maybe they should have just done like a joint clubhouse celebration.
It would have been one of the best moments in sports.
Oh,
like if you got all the two teams celebrating the pool together, that would have been one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah. I still think the Diamondbacks. There's obviously some history with other teams being in the Chase Field pool, and even though the Astros are not a division rival, they're not exactly the most loved team around the sport. So I don't think that would have. I don't think people would have liked that too much. But yeah, I mean, this game was crappy for the Diamondbacks. Frankly,
yeah, it really was.
This is not. Yeah. They had some opportunities to take the lead in this game. And the optics of that would have been very positive, right? At least for the Diamondbacks to have a lead in this game if they didn't win, or for them to find a way to win this game, even though they were going to clinch anyway. I asked Christian Walker yesterday, and I think we posted it on Twitter, how much does it matter to you to clinch on a win versus clinching based on other teams' outcomes? And his response was basically, a berth is a berth at this point. Of course we always want to win. That's always the goal. And the D-backs by no means, they didn't adjust their game plan tonight because, the Reds got out to, or were down 11-0 after 3 innings. Merrill Kelly stayed in this game, and pitched deep into this game when all was said and done. The Diamondbacks didn't remove any of their starters or anything. They were very much, full throttling at trying to win this game. And the offense just continues to be kind of dumbfounding for this team. The Diamondbacks have scored 2 runs in their last 3 games at this point, and that doesn't exactly, feel great maybe going into the postseason. I'm sure they'd like to come out tomorrow in a game that doesn't really matter, although I guess it kind of matters. We'll maybe get into that in a second. But yeah, they maybe like to have a little bit more positive momentum going into the playoffs than what they have. But, talking with guys in post game, I mean, they're having a good time. They're having a big party. I don't think at the end of the day, anyone really cares at this point. The way it went down that the team didn't win this game. I think they probably share Christian Walker's perspective on that, and that we're in, anything happen, anything can happen now. Once we're in, and Zach Gallen talked after the whole celebration about, everyone's 0-0 once the postseason starts. Once you're in, anything really can happen. So yeah, I mean, the vibes are obviously positive. This is an enormous day for the franchise, having lost 110 games just 2 years ago. It's really been a remarkable turnaround.
Jesse, you and I started doing this show at the tail end of one of the worst seasons in baseball in Diamondbacks franchise history. And now here we are celebrating this team making the playoffs. It's pretty extraordinary that the turnaround happened this quickly. And I know it happened in a similar fashion for some other teams. The Reds turned things around quickly. They're not here this year, but they will most likely be a very competitive team next year. You have obviously that's fine. What the Orioles have done, but I mean, it's not ideal for the Diamondbacks to be essentially have scored 2 runs in their last 3 games and be 0 for 18 with runners in scoring position in those 3 games heading into this playoff. However, maybe this celebration tonight, maybe this cathartic kind of letting that monkey off your back in a way, like just having that pressure alleviate a little bit. Maybe they can start to get in the mindset of like, now they're playing with house money. Now they are in a position to not have to have that pressure on them of making the playoffs, but maybe put that pressure on other teams since they're the underdog upstart that really shouldn't be here this soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing that Zach Gallen said. Like, the pressure's off at this point for the Diamondbacks, which is a little bit counterintuitive as a team that just made the postseason. The pressure's off. If the Diamondbacks, and these are my words, not Zach Gallen's, but if the Diamondbacks go into the first round, they lose 2 games, and that's all she wrote for this team in the postseason, that's okay, right?
It's still a success.
That's not going to be their perspective necessarily going in, but this Diamondbacks team, just the fact that they're here in the first place is a really remarkable accomplishment. And yeah, I mean, if you're the Brewers, if you're the Phillies, if you're whatever teams the Diamondbacks wind up encountering in the playoffs, the pressure is sort of on you. I mean, this is a team that frankly on paper you probably should beat, but they have a couple really good starting pitchers. They have an offense that at times has been potent. We've seen what that looks like at various points in the season. There are some guys in this lineup who can really hit. And I mean, it's a team that those teams certainly should beat, but it's not necessarily going to be easy for them to pull that off.
Right. I mean, it's somebody said it in the chat. I think it's house money. Like they have absolutely nothing to lose, and they're talented. Right. It's not like this is the worst team in baseball. Like, it is a good baseball team, and they've shown that they can beat anybody in the league. And they have nothing to lose. Like you said, no pressure on them. So why would you not be, like, if you're a D-backs fan, what would you not be excited by this? Like, you've already accomplished more than you could have reasonably expected to accomplish this year. This year has been a success no matter what happens. So like, you get to go in a little carefree, and like, that's a pretty great situation to be in.
Yeah. We did talk a little earlier, Jesse, about how tomorrow's game still has playoff implications because they could essentially swap spots with the Marlins and end up there in the final spot. I know we've discussed at length which team we would rather face should we make the playoffs, the Phillies or the Brewers. And we were talking about it a little bit tonight. And I mean, I don't really know. And I don't have a firm answer which way I feel one way or another. I feel like with the Diamondbacks' lack of offense, they might not want to get into any kind of slugfest with a team that can produce the way that the Phillies can. So maybe the Brewers are the better path to take. So should they end up in that final position, maybe it's not the worst thing for the D-backs.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw what Bob Nightingale just tweeted out a little while ago, but he said there's an update now on the Marlins-Mets situation. Right there, their game was suspended the other night. They were going to play on Monday. It is now, according to Bob Nightingale, that game is not going to be played. Basically, what is going to happen is it is just not going to be played, and the standings are what they are. And just based on how things work, if the Diamondbacks win tomorrow and the Marlins lose, the Diamondbacks will move up and become the second wild card team. If anything else happens, if both teams win, if both teams lose, and certainly if the Diamondbacks lose and the Marlins win, in all of those situations, the D-backs will stay in the third spot. So, at this point, the only way the Diamondbacks move up to the second spot and play the Philadelphia Phillies is if the Diamondbacks win and the Marlins lose tomorrow. And I'm not totally sure that this Diamondbacks team is going to be motivated to make that happen. To your point that you were just making, I don't know if you want the Phillies in the first round. If I'm the Diamondbacks, I probably want the Brewers.
Brandon Pfaadt, he's going to be clutching for his life. Because that is one man that definitely probably does not want to be pitching in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Brandon Pfaadt, with being as homer prone as he is, that doesn't seem like
he's probably going to be every single time someone Cattell kicks a ball at second, just
and I think the Diamondbacks want the Brewers. I don't have any official information saying that, but I think that's probably what they want. And I don't think it would be. It's certainly normal for a team to have their hangover lineup of sorts, right, the day after they clinch. So the D-backs might have done that anyway, but certainly in the situation that they're in, I don't think you're going to see the D-backs better pitchers or better hitters tomorrow. It'll be kind of weird. Like, I don't think you can really go out and try to lose. Players who are playing are still going to try, presumably. The Diamondbacks, I would imagine that's the result that they're looking for. They want to go to Milwaukee and not Philadelphia.
Big thank you to Andrew Dang. Thank you, brother. He says, happy we are in, but I fear we face Brewers. God bless. God bless whoever they play, right? And I mean, we tried to extrapolate it out a little bit and go on beyond the Brewers and go on beyond that wild card round to see who would want to play next. And I don't know, don't want to play the Braves, but they haven't been playing great baseball, but they've also had their foot off the gas. So have the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are kind of beat up, and their starting rotation isn't nearly as strong, but the Braves also aren't as strong with some of the injuries and such that they've had. So I don't really know. I don't know what path is the path I want to go. And I feel like the Diamondbacks don't really care because whatever they end up with is what they end up with. Like you said, they're not going to try to lose tomorrow's game, but definitely wouldn't be surprised to not see them putting out their best lineup, which means they're absolutely going to win. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But
well, I mean, isn't it an exact repeat of last season when the D-backs went into the final, or not last season? This is 2 seasons ago, when the Diamondbacks were either going to get the first overall pick or the second overall pick in the draft. Everyone was like, all right, you just got to lose this game. Yeah. And the D-backs ultimately won on, I think it was a walk-off homer by Josh Van Meter.
Yeah.
And so they got the second pick instead of the first because of that. So there's some history with the D-backs winning on the final day of the season, even if it's not in their best interest.
Well, man, I was going to say that I would bet all over the Astros tomorrow, but no, I'm not touching this.
You're having second thoughts about it, aren't you?
I'm not touching this foot with the game with a 10-foot pole.
This team has been unpredictable all year long, and they continue to be unpredictable. As unpredictable as Mark Solera is with his big ol' super chat of $5. He said, "Finally, we are Knuff. We're all Knuff for once." Jesse was Knuff based on some images that went around in the Discord for sure. And I still have my card somewhere here from Mark that proves that I'm also Knuff. Here it is. This one's nightmare fuel. There you guys go.
Jesus.
There's my card. Look at it. It's gorgeous. He's beautiful. I'm always Knuff. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it all really doesn't matter, Jesse. It all really doesn't matter because honestly, I think everybody, we said this before about the negative fans, positive fans, it doesn't matter. If you are a fan of this team, just take a moment to revel in the fact that the Diamondbacks did this. They're here. Corbin Carroll is on the team. Jordan Lawler is on the team. This team has a young, exciting core that just made the playoffs, and a lot of these guys are going to be around for a number of years to come. And this is just a really fun time to be a fan of this team.
Yeah. I mean, this is why you're a sports fan, right? I mean, it's to see what happens in situations like this, and it's the D-backs are the underdog of all the underdogs. They are, to be perfectly honest, probably the worst team in the postseason field. I guess the Marlins are kind of right there. D-backs and Marlins are kind of right neck and neck in that regard.
Neither of us belong here, but fuck them. Let's go anyway.
The D-backs, I think it's also worth noting if there was not that third wild card spot, if Major League Baseball hadn't made that change a year ago, the D-backs would still be fighting for their lives. They would need a win tomorrow and a Marlins loss in order to make the postseason. But instead, they're celebrating. They're celebrating a day early.
Are the Diamondbacks worse than the Minnesota Twins?
I think the Twins are probably a better team.
Wow.
Not by like an enormous margin. The Twins are probably the worst playoff bound team in the American League as well. But I think you probably have to take the Twins there. Twins just have good pitching and their offense has been all right.
Plus 120 run differential.
That's a better team than the Diamondbacks.
There's someone outside of my house. I'm not hearing this on Jesse's end. I'm hearing this at my house. I thought I was hearing this at Jesse's end. There's someone outside of my house just honking their car horn and yelling, "Let's go Diamondbacks!" And I want to go outside and party. I want to go party with this guy right now. So we need to wrap this shit up, you guys. I have a lot of Four Peaks Wow Joy Buses to drink, but Jesse, you will be out there tomorrow for the final game, sir.
I will be there. Yeah, and it'll be interesting after this celebration tonight. Torey Lavello is going to talk to the media at like 9:30 in the morning. We'll see how everyone's doing tomorrow.
He's not your manager tonight, though, buddy. He's not your manager tonight. That's for goddamn sure.
We'll see if he's back to being the manager tomorrow. We'll do a quick check at the beginning of the press conference.
I love that, man. I'm so happy for him and this team. Of course, like I said, a great way to celebrate this win is with the official craft beer of your Arizona Diamondbacks. Make sure to pick up some Four Peaks beer, no matter what beer it is. My favorite, of course, Joy Bus Wow Wheat. What a way to celebrate a playoff berth than with the Joy Bus Wow Wheat. You can get all the wonderful Four Peaks beer wherever you get your beers. I'm not going to be able to say Four Peaks here for too much longer after a couple more, but I will say we're all having a good time. It is playoff season. It is fall. So, of course, it's also pumpkin porter season. So make sure to check that out back on shelves and in draft lines throughout the valley. And, of course, we are just excited for the Diamondbacks to be going to the playoffs. Make sure if you get a chance, celebrate with a with the Rattle On Red Ale or any of the wonderful beers Four Peaks has to offer. Of course, you can visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite brewery tours, the Stein Holding, which looks very difficult, Oktoberfest, haunted brewery tours, and so much more are all right around the corner. Check out at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 years or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. Also, please, if you are at Chase Field, make it home safe. If you need a place to stop and fill up for yourself or your vehicle, make sure to stop by Circle K on the way home. If you haven't signed up for their brand new free membership program, join the Inner Circle today. And of course, with doing so, you will save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups at Circle K's. You also get all sorts of wonderful options or offers in their apps. Like I just got an offer for free candy. Just a free bag of candy, whatever candy I choose of the Circle K branding. And we told you, Circle K brand snacks are on point. Do not sleep on them. You also get buy 5. That's right. Better than the name brand. Get 5, buy 5, get 6 free on selection of Circle K products, including pizza, coffee, and ice cold fountain drinks. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Boys, what a win. What a win. So we will be back.
They didn't win, Derek.
They didn't win. It was not a win at all.
What a win for this franchise.
They've lost 3 in a row, Derek.
For this franchise. I don't care. I'm still celebrating the goddamn postseason. That's what I mean when I'm talking about a win. I know it was a lot. I was going to say what a win in a loss. But anyway, what we will have is more for you next week. So make sure to join us. We'll be back with our normal Mailbag Monday episode because there will not be a game on Monday, but those games for the wild card round, I do believe, start.
I wouldn't call it normal. It's a playoff Mailbag Monday.
It is a playoff Mailbag Monday. You're right. It's probably bigger than ever. Probably bigger than ever.
But the biggest Mailbag Monday of all time
we've ever had. Yeah, we might even play the whole Mega Ran song. Who knows?
Highest stakes Mailbag Monday.
I'll see if I could clear that with his agent. We'll find out. But also, like I said, make sure to join us next week. We will have pregame shows and postgame shows for all of these playoff games for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And we will be here all week long for you. So make sure to come right back next week. Of course, we are not going to be here on Sunday. So no more Sunday show. Jesse is very upset at me about that, but we know you guys want to go watch NFL football and stuff. They clinched. They got their playoff spot. You guys don't care about tomorrow.
Do people still care about that sport?
I'm pretty sure they
still
do.
doing the football
thing. They do. I don't know. I think it's more popular than ever. I could be wrong though. But in the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Shawn is at Shawn_DePaz. Of course, Damon is not here, but he is still the people's producer, and he is still at Damon Dog with a DAWG. We are Damon's dogs. You can be too. Don't forget that. You don't have to work for PHNX to be a Damon's dog. But again, we thank you guys so much for joining us. Of course, our show is at PHNX D-backs, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. What a night. What a clinch. I won't say what a win. What a big thing that happened for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Spiritual W.
So, the spiritual W. So on behalf of these guys, we thank you so much again for your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you make the postseason for the first time in 6 years.